Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that he is ready to present a victory plan to US President Joe Biden. He has said that the war with Russia will eventually end with a dialogue. But Ukraine's Kursk incursion is so Kyiv can be in a strong position. Going forward, will Kyiv be forced to cede territory occupied by Russia to secure peace? What happens next? My name is Heinrich Böll Foundation, and to discuss this, we have with us Dr. Sergej Sumlenny, defense expert and director, European Resilience Initiative Center, and former director at the Heinrich Böll Foundation Bureau in Kyiv. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having invited me today.
Dr. Sumlenny, Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that he will present a victory plan and that the war with Russia will eventually end with dialogue. How do you assess this? What would a victory plan entail?
Well, I think that for President Zelensky, the problem is that the pressure on Ukraine from Germany, the US, and other Western partners is really big, as the Western allies want this war to end fast, but are not ready to provide Ukraine with enough weapons to win this war on the battleground. So Zelensky needs to maneuver and to create the situation when, if he will be forced by the West to some sort of negotiations with Russia, the negotiation position of Ukraine would be as strong as possible. And there is no way to make this position stronger than to occupy, in accordance and in harmony with the international law as self-defense, a part of the aggressor country, Russia. The idea is, I believe, to say if Russia wants to keep the current front line as it is, as a precondition for negotiations, to have a part of Russia's territory, to make this a way of negotiations as hard as possible for Russia.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just going to come to this. Russia has made significant gains in Ukraine with Ukraine's incursion in Kyiv. Do you think Ukraine is in a position right now to negotiate the release of those regions, or will there be a new status quo that will bring an end to this war?
Well, that is a tricky question. We know that the territorial gains which Russia achieved in Ukraine, they all go to the year 22. Neither in year 23 nor in year 24, Russia has not achieved significant territorial goals. If you compare what Ukraine has occupied within 2 weeks of its Kursk incursion, it is more than Russia has gained within the whole year 24 in Ukraine. So here, of course, Russia controls much more territory than Ukraine controls in Russia, but these gains are from the year 22. So now to your question, is Ukraine in the position of strength? It depends very much of what additional steps can Ukraine undertake. We see since a week that Ukraine hits one by one Russia's oil depots in very deep also in Russia. Ukraine hit Russian airfields, destroying Russian jets and storages of Russian gliding bombs. We know that Russia already started to rationize fuel consumption by civilian aviation, which is a good sign. So if Ukraine adds more pressure on deep strikes against Russia, and I stress, Ukraine hits Russia only with Ukraine-produced drones, not with Western long-range missiles, it can increase additional pressure and once again strengthen Ukraine's position.
Right, absolutely. That being said, we also saw that Russia carried out perhaps its most massive strikes on Ukrainian regions, more than half of them, in fact. And what you said about Ukraine producing its own ammunition, it has come up with drone launchers, the Palinitsia. Do you think peace can be secured anytime soon? That being said, what would you say is the way forward now?
Well, this war is rich on surprises. And of course, Russia still has an upper hand in long-range weapons. We have seen it within the last 2 nights as Russia pounded Ukrainian cities with cruise missiles and ballistic missiles. And of course, Russia can hit all territory of Ukraine up to the most western regions, and Ukraine cannot hit the whole territory of Russia. But Ukraine works on it, and once again, the economic potential of Russia is mostly located in its European part, much closer to Ukrainian border than, for example, Siberia. So we will see what kind of weapons can Ukraine develop. And of course, all eyes are now on the elections, regional elections in Germany. And German federal politics will depend on outcome. 1st September, 22nd September, 3 regional elections in Germany, and November elections in the United States. It depends so much on that, who will be a political advisor, foreign political advisor on the new president.
Right, and President Volodymyr Zelensky is also planning another peace summit. Russia, however, has distanced itself from that. Do you think that can prove to be effective going forward?
Well, Ukraine demonstrates with its ideas that it is ready for peace. And President Zelensky and his advisors, they every time say they are ready for peace. What they don't want to have their population suffering under Russian occupation. We know what Russian occupation meant for the occupied territories: most torture, discrimination, extrajudiciary executions, etc. in every town which Ukrainian forces liberated in 22-23. They found torture chambers and mass graves of civilians with their hands tied back. So that is the problem which Ukrainian government wants to solve. Not the territorial losses are the most important problem for Ukraine, but the suffering of civilian population under Russia's occupation. That's why it's important for Ukraine to negotiate from the strongest position to get as much as possible of its population back.
All right. Well, Dr. Sumlenny, thank you so much for joining us on WION World as One with your perspective on this.
Thank you so much.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.